One thing I'll ask of you. Life is precious. Time is so precious. Do something worthwhile with your lives. Something you can be proud of. Don't compromise there. And if you keep that the star at the center of your constellation, everything else will work out. Trust me. You don't get letters like that much. But if you go to the first page, you'll see why it was being written. So the first sentence is, I hope you two boys never read this letter, but I cannot ignore what the doctors have said. It's from my dad. It says, it just crushes me to know I will not be here to see you become men. But listen, there are values in our home, and if you have those values and you hold tight to them, you'll have almost everything you need. He says something interesting. He says, and remember this, you boys don't owe me and your mother anything. You have given us more by being a presence in our life than we ever possibly could give to you. My mother disagrees with that almost at every level. You owe me big. She's a little person from Brooklyn, this tall. No surprise looking at me. They're both right. They're both right. I owe them big. But worthwhile, that's a high bar. My education leaps forward, as has been mentioned. When I realized I've got an autistic son, and all the things, I have two boys. My son Owen is 3 when he is hit with autism. I've got an older son, Walter's 5. And at that point, I was thinking 2 kids? Well, that's going to be 2 presidents. And after that, Nobel Prizes, because they had to get their Olympic medal first. And they all carry that stuff around. They don't even recognize it. We all do. But I had to pull a lot of those out and smash them in the corner. And I couldn't manage to think, my wife and I, what a future looks like. He's silent for years. He's deemed ineducable. He's in the discard pile. Truly. He gets thrown out of a school, and he tries to make his way. Now, the twist of the story is that though he could not speak for years, he was watching all of the Disney animated movies. Truly. And he memorized them all, silently. I know, Disney. Believe it or not, Disney. 50 of them have been made since Snow White in 1937. 50 of them. He memorized them all. And all of a sudden, when he's silent at 7, we realize if you threw him a line, he'd throw you back to the next line. It's amazing. So our first conversation, have everyone seen the movie Aladdin? Anyone see that movie here? Okay. Yeah, everybody. Yeah. You're in the community that watched that movie with the little clamshell box. So our first conversation is me as Iago, that's Gilbert Godfrey, and Owen as Jafar. And off we go. He learns to speak by speaking in Disney dialogue over years, and then he writes an extraordinary aria. Once he gets speech back, he's autistic, he'll be autistic for the rest of his life. But what I realized, what we all realized, is he was teaching us, changing us, helping us see something bigger than we were taught in college or taught by the meritocracy that rewarded us. As things come to their fullness, he writes a little story that'll soon be produced as a little movie. It's about a boy at 3 who is struck by some mysterious disease. It's when he was hit with autism and leaves his home after a storm rises from the horizon, crosses a bridge that collapses behind him, and finds himself in a forest of the lost sidekicks. Sidekicks. You know sidekicks. There's zillions of them in Disney. Merlin, Rafiki, Jiminy Cricket. They help the hero fulfill their destiny. That's their role. That's their job. So Owen ends up in the land of the lost sidekicks. He says, why are they lost? He says, their heroes have already fulfilled their destiny. They have no purpose. They take the boy and it's one of their own, a sidekick he. It's where he lives, and that's where my son actually did live for 10 years, in his head. But he said, there is evil in this farce, he writes. Real villains, and they'll have to face them without heroes. So what do? They look for the qualities of the hero in each other, though they're ever sidekicks. You don't get redrawn in this life. You summon the hero each day on your best days.